You hear it once. A single, wet crunch of a leaf coming from somewhere you can't see. It sounds just like the step you just took. I've been standing here completely frozen for 10 minutes now, just listening to a silence that feels heavier than any sound I've ever heard. The old man I saw at the trailhead didn't look like some harbinger of doom. He just looked like leather and patience, his face a roadmap of wrinkles from a life lived under the sun. He was cleaning a fish and the silver scales stuck to his worn-out flannel shirt. I just nodded as I passed him, trying to catch the last of the day's light through the autumn trees. He grunted, not even looking up. "Just be sure you're out by dusk," he said, his voice raspy like dry leaves skittering on pavement. "And if you're not..." He finally stopped, wiping his knife on his jeans. "Well, these woods have rules. The main one, you hear one footstep that ain't yours. You don't listen for the second." I gave him a polite smile, dismissing it as local folklore, a spooky story they tell tourists. For me, the woods were an escape, the place I went to unscramble my head. The trail was familiar, a dark ribbon of earth winding through fiery maples and old, stoic oaks. The air had that crisp, damp chill of late autumn, thick with the smell of wet dirt and decay. For the first hour, the only sounds were my own, the soft thud of my boots on the packed trail and the zip, zip of my jacket. It was peaceful. It was perfect. The sun was setting, casting these long, distorted shadows that danced in the trees, and the world was getting quiet, ready for the night. That's when I decided to take a little shortcut, a deer trail I knew that would cut 20 minutes off my hike back. But the ground here was different. It was softer, covered in a thick, wet carpet of fallen leaves. Every single step I took announced itself with a loud, wet crunch. It happened about 100 yards down that barely there path. I took a step, crunch, and from somewhere off to my left, deep in the shadows where the dying light couldn't reach, an identical sound came right back. Crunch. It wasn't an echo. An echo is like a ghost of a sound, right? It's faded and it's delayed. This was a perfect clone. The same weight, the same wet, leafy texture, the same split-second timing. I stopped dead. Every muscle in my body went tight. My heart was just hammering against my ribs, a frantic drum in the sudden, crushing stillness of the forest. My brain was scrambling, trying to find a logical explanation. An animal? No. A deer or a bear would make way more noise, and their four-legged walk sounds nothing like a person's. Another hiker? I hadn't seen a soul for hours. And who would be creeping through the underbrush off-trail when it's almost dark? I strained my ears, just listening. Nothing. Only the faint whisper of wind in the high branches. The silence itself felt wrong, like every bird and cricket was holding its breath right along with me. I took another step, this time as gently as I possibly could. The leaves still made a soft, squishing sound. And there it was again. From the same direction, a perfect, mocking reply. It sounded closer this time. A cold dread, colder than the evening air, just washed over me. This wasn't a coincidence. This was deliberate. My breath hitched, and I could see it, a pale cloud in the twilight. The old man's words came rushing back, not as folklore anymore, but as a blaring alarm in my head. You hear one footstep that ain't yours. You don't listen for the second. And that's exactly what I'd done. I listened. I waited for it. I even tested it. And by doing that, I feel like I accepted some challenge I don't understand. So now, I'm frozen. It's been 10 minutes. The woods are completely silent. But it's not an empty silence. It's watchful. It's a held breath. It's that pause after you ask a question, thick with the weight of the answer you're about to get. I feel it in my gut. A primal certainty that the moment I make another sound, any sound at all, I'm going to hear that footstep again. Not a copy of my own this time, but its own independent step. A step forward. My mind is just racing. Should I scream? Make a run for it? But my feet feel like they're bolted to the ground, trapped by a fear so deep it's become a physical force. Turning my head feels impossible. What would I even see? Nothing? Or worse, something standing right at the edge of my vision, just being patient and still. The old man's rule wasn't a warning about some creature. It was a warning against knowing. Don't listen for the second footstep, because once you hear it, you know you're not alone. You know you're being hunted. And that knowledge, that's its own kind of trap. I have to move. I can't stay here until it's pitch black. The choice comes to me not as some brave surge of adrenaline, but as a quiet, trembling resignation. I can't run. Running is loud. Running is panic. Running sounds like prey. So, I do the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I lift my foot, slowly, deliberately, and I place it back down in the exact spot it just was. No crunch, not a sound. Then I do the same with my other foot, starting the most terrifying retreat of my life. I'm walking backward, tracing my own steps, my eyes glued to the darkening woods on my left. Each movement is agonizingly slow, a silent, desperate prayer. My heart is a frantic, silent scream in my chest. I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's still out there, watching me, waiting. I only know that the silence is still unbroken. For now. I did make it back to the main trail. I don't remember much of the rest of the walk to my car, just that feeling of 1,000 unseen eyes on my back. I never saw the old man again. I haven't been back to those woods since, but sometimes, when it gets really quiet, I can still feel it. That heavy, watchful silence. The rule wasn't just for the woods. It's a piece of knowledge I have to carry with me now. That some things, once you hear them, can never be unheard. And it leaves me wondering, what happens to the people who stay long enough to hear the second footstep? What do you think the rule really means? Let me know your theories down in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications.